Thanks for staying with us. 5 former members of Canada's World Junior Hockey team have pleaded not guilty, with jury selection now underway in their sexual assault trial in London, Ontario. Dylan Dubé, Carter Hart, Michael McLeod and Cal Foote, also Alex Formenton, were charged with sexual assault early last year in an incident that allegedly took place in London in June 2018. McLeod is facing an additional charge of being a party to the offence of sexual assault. The complainant cannot be identified due to a publication ban. Let's now bring in Alison Craig, criminal defense lawyer at Alison Craig and Stein. Good afternoon and thank you for your time. Your first thoughts on how things have played out in the court up until now?
Good afternoon. Obviously, we don't know anything that's played out up until this point in terms of pretrial motions, et cetera, because that would be under a publication ban until the jury starts deliberating. But I think at last check, they'd already picked 6 or 7 jurors, and they just started this morning. So it seems to be moving ahead pretty quickly.
The fact that all of these players, of course, have pleaded not guilty, one would have expected that in the manner in which this has played out over the last few years since 2018. But let's talk about this impartial jury selection and the process around it all.
Well, I mean, you use the key word, which is impartial. For anybody to be on a jury, they have to be impartial. And in some cases, they will all be asked questions ahead of time, such as, in this case, I'm sure, whether or not they know anything about the case from the media. But that's not the only question they're asked. That's not necessarily disqualifying, because at this point, really, who doesn't know anything about the case? But if they do know about the case from the media, do they still feel that they can judge the case only by the evidence presented in the courtroom and start from an impartial position? So that would be what they're all being taken through today, as well as, you know, the standard things, employment, hardship, those sorts of things that can disqualify a juror.
You know, this case so far, we know it's taken years and a lot of long work, long processes, involvement over the past 2018 up until now. A lot of stakeholders involved, for example, Hockey Canada, questions about the criminal justice system, about London police, etc. I want to ask you about the fact that these accused have said yes in terms of this trial. How will this work out over the next 7-8 weeks? Because that's what we're learning is going to be the time frame where this trial will continue.
Well, I mean, it's certainly an awfully long time estimate for a sexual assault trial. So I'm curious to see just how much evidence is going to be called. Even with 5 defendants, 6 to 8 weeks is extraordinarily long. So they may have just been erring on the side of caution and determining that length of time. But it sounds like, obviously, the complainant will be the main witness, but as well, potentially many other hockey players that are, well known to all of us and certainly were known to the accused. So it'll be interesting to watch play out. But I expect the first witness, or one of the first ones, will be the complainant.
The complainant. I want to talk to you about that as well for the woman in this case, the complainant here. The fact that each of these players has his own legal team. One can only imagine how it's going to be for the complainant facing so many lawyers' teams. Talk to us a little more about that. How will that play out?
It'll be difficult. I mean, anybody who, makes a complaint about sexual assault, being a victim of sexual assault, will be told by, the members, the police, the Crown, whoever, that it's going to be a very difficult process going through cross-examination. And that is with just, usually one lawyer. So each of the 5 defense lawyers will have an opportunity to cross-examine her. It's going to be very, very difficult. And, she's brave for going through with it all, because to be cross-examined by one lawyer is hard, never mind 5. It's going to be a long few days for her.
Can I just ask you a question slightly outside the parameters of the court, and the big question about how important and historic this also is for hockey and Hockey Canada? This case?
I mean, I'm not only a lawyer, but I'm a sports fan as well.
Okay.
So obviously it has huge implications. I mean, we remember when this first came out that people were withdrawing their sponsorships, and it has enormous implications. And there's long been discussion about hockey culture. And so perhaps whatever the outcome of this criminal trial, hopefully there will be changes made, and have been already, to quote unquote hockey culture. I think there's a lot about it that a lot of us think probably needs to be changed. And move towards this century. So hopefully this is a step in doing that.
Alison Craig, criminal defence lawyer, appreciate your time and your expertise. Thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Certainly, you're welcome.